また私を救ってくださるのですね。
Hello everybody, Vigo Shadow here, and a new unit has just dropped, and this one's actually for the regular character pool. It is a yellow attacking unit, and boy are we in for a treat. I mean, this character is already looking to be pretty good, and I'll get into exactly why that is. But I gotta mention, this intro that she gets is just so badass. I love this intro so much. Alright, so let's just get into the fun part of the video here. I'm gonna dip right into the abilities, but first, there's an interesting gimmick with this character, and they did advertise it. I'll pull up that image right there. And yeah, her abilities will change depending if you're partied with Sid or Shadow. Like, right off the bat, that's just a very interesting concept. I mean, we've seen this kind of concept with some other characters, that if you pair them up, I think it was, I did a recent video on it, the Claire, the swimsuit Claire, she was able to enhance her abilities with Sid. We've seen that before, but this one literally changes the abilities and how they go, like different outputs. And here, I'll just show you right away with Paradise Lost, her ultimate ability. So when you're partied with Sid/Shadow, I would assume any of them, it inflicts 1,600 damage on a single enemy. Good damage, or pretty average damage there, but then it further raises the damage received by 30% for 10 seconds. That in itself is just really good because you're going to have your other units. So this is a ability you're going to want, especially if you're partied with Sid. If you have like either of the shadows, SF shadows, you can use this ult, and then it'll further receive, or damage received for that enemy, and then you could use the SF ult, which is just going to put a massive amount of damage. This is the ultimate you want to go first and have the others follow. That in itself is just really, really good. And let's just see it awakened before I get into the second part of it when you're not paired. It goes to 2,000, and then it raises the damage received by 40% for 10 seconds. That's really, really good. Now, if we just look at the when it's not partied with Sid/Shadow, you're inflicting 2,600 damage on a single enemy. That is an absurd amount of damage for a regular unit from the the regular character pool. This kind of damage you don't really see on regular units. So that's just insane. And that's just when you're not partied. So it's almost like, oh, you know, which one should I go with? Should I just not party with Sid or Shadow? And I'll get to that like pretty much at the end. Just comparing all these benefits. But when you awaken this, it goes to 3,200% damage. That's 1,200% damage more. So, with or without Shadow or Sid, this is super good. This is really, really good. We'll get into her other ability here. This one's called Exterminate. And when you're partied with Sid/Shadow, you raise the damage received for a single enemy with the highest attack by 20% for 10 seconds, which further inflicts 400% damage. It's pretty standard damage, but the big thing there is the damage received for a single enemy by 20% for 10 seconds. Now, if you hit an Exterminate and you see it at the bottom, and you have the ability to use this Paradise Lost, and especially if you're paired, you're going to be doing 30% plus that 20%, 50% damage received for that single enemy. That is insane. That's going to do a lot of damage. And then if you awaken that, that's 30% for 13 seconds. And then just 100% more damage, which nothing to boast about there, but that 10% increase will show some results. Now, if you're not partied with Sid for this Exterminate, you're going to see you raise your own attack by 20% for 20 seconds, and it inflicts the same amount of damage. The damage don't change, and it's still targeting the single enemy with the highest attack. I always like when it targets the single enemy with the highest attack. I always kind of like those moves anyway. And then if this is awakened, it is 30% for your own attack. and then same amount of damage value there. But yeah, that, I mean, just absolutely good move. Like, and same goes for this. If you see the Exterminate at the bottom, you're going to raise your own attack by 30%, hit that Paradise Lost if you're not paired with Sid or Shadow, and you're going to be doing 2,600%, or yeah, 2,600% on top of getting this attack boost. So it's going to do even more damage. So that leaves room for your ultimate to do a lot of damage. Now with Innocent Creed, the damage on all enemies for, I believe, both of them, yeah, it's nothing to go home about. It's still damage on all enemies, which is really good. I like when all enemies are targeted. But the kicker here is if you're partied with Sid, you inflict Seal for 3 seconds. Now if you awaken that, it's just 2 seconds more. Not really the best on the Awakening roadmap there. And 50% more damage slight. So this one's not really that good when it's boosted to Awakened. But what makes it really good is if you're paired with Sid to inflict that Seal. That Seal is going to be great. And then lastly, this has nothing to do with Sid or Shadow, but at the start of the wave, raises your own damage inflicted by 50% for 20 seconds. That is nuts. That is just absolutely insane. And if you have the damage the damage inflicted by 50% for 20 seconds. Now 20 seconds isn't a lot of time. So this is going to be super helpful when you're doing like questing and stuff like that, when there's different waves of enemies. But for the event bosses and Armageddon and stuff, you're not going to be, like, best case scenario, you're able to whip out Merciless Blade and then go with Paradise Lost, like right on top of that, so that you can inflict even more damage. That would be nice. But I think because it's only 20 seconds, a lot of the times, you're not going to be able to pair Paradise Lost, that ultimate, with this ability. You can still do some pretty decent damage with your other abilities, but I mean, most of the time this is not going to go into play. But what makes this better is if you are paired with Sid or Shadow, you can be doing 30% more damage received on the enemy, and then an additional 20% damage received, so that's 50, and then you raise your own damage inflicted, so you got 50% debuff on the enemy, and then you raise your own damage by 50% buff for that. But like I said, you're probably not going to hit Paradise Lost, so you're only going to most likely see Exterminate and Merciless Blade go hand in hand for that 20% debuff for the enemy, so that they get to raise more, they get more damage received, and then 50% more for your own damage received, which is still it's really good. Having 50% damage received for 20 seconds is nice on its own, and even better when it's awakened to 75. That is a 25% jump. This is really good, and this is something you're going to want to see on the roadmap. So, right off the bat, this character is looking really, really nice. I'm going to go ahead and dip into the stats like I always do with every character that comes out. So here's Power 2 Healing Boost. Notice the crit rate, crit defense. And then we go from Healing Boost down to Overheal. No, this character actually has some SP boost. It is a 5% SP boost. I wish it was more so that you could whip out that ultimate with that Merciless Blade. That would be nice. So you'd probably have to have a character that would essentially have to SP boost Victoria in some way to make that work. And even then, it's just kind of like a very tight window to make that work for bosses. But either way, let's just go ahead and take a look at her Awakening roadmap here. And what's nice about this is the fact that her A1 Awakening is adding a magic gear slot. That is also insane. To have a magic gear slot at A1 makes it so worth it to have this character, especially if you pull her a second time. It just, you'll have 2 pieces of magic gear, and it's just going to look really nice, especially if you get her gear Now, that's just insane potential for this unit, and it's just a regular unit, which makes it even better. Now, at the A2, we have Merciless Blade. That is probably another very good ability that she has. Having her at A1 and A2 is just incredible. She gets her A1 and A2 on the roadmap. Having these two this early is really, really good. So her Awakening roadmap is looking really, really nice. The A3 is Innocent Creed. Now that one's probably the worst out of the bunch, so the A3 is nothing too good. The A4, that one is the damage received by a 10%, so it's not bad. It's definitely the better of the two regular skills. And then, of course, they're gonna tuck away that Awakened Hidden Technique at A5. The damage potential on that A5 is just too good to have it right away. But even so, having her A1 and A2 is just incredible. 25% more damage inflicted for 20 seconds. Yeah, you're going to be able to do a lot of damage with Victoria, especially if you're getting buffs from other, yellow units. This just opens up the door to so many possibilities. I would go as far to say as Victoria is basically on par with event level, event type units. Like Iris's banner is pretty good, but this is on par with that. I don't think she's almost doing, if you have this Awakened and not partied with Sid, this damage is on par with some Shadow Festival units. That's nuts! This person is basically churning out so much damage without Sid. And you're just basically doing the amount of damage that, I think Claire does 3,000% damage on a single enemy, and she's doing 200% more. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy when that's Awakened. Now, it might change for the Claire Awakened, but... So, the big question is, should I pair her or Victoria with Sid / Shadow or without? Now, this gets really tricky because essentially, if you're pairing it with Sid, what you're doing is you're raising the damage received on this enemy up to 50% regular. This is not Awakened, so that's a lot of damage for your teammates to do to this enemy, as well as yourself. So, essentially, I see more benefits if you pair this unit with Sid / Shadow, but it still does really good without it. So if you don't have a good Sid unit, now, all of you should have a good Sid unit, because right off the bat, this S level Sid is actually really good. It's a really good unit for a free-to-play. But if you have now the Master Shadow and you have Awakening Hour Shadow, you have those SF Shadow units, wow, it would be best probably to pair with them. And then it kind of gets dicey if you're pairing it with like this Sid. So it kind of just depends, I would say. So if you got really good units that could do a lot of damage, go ahead and pair this one up with Sid / Shadow, especially if it's SF. I would pair it up. But if you don't, still a very good unit because it is doing a lot of damage. The only thing that kind of happens when you're not being paired with Sid is that this unit itself is doing a lot of damage. This unit would be essentially carrying the team because you're raising your attack by 20%, and then you're also raising your own damage inflicted by 50% or 75%. That's in the A2 roadmap there. So this unit is going to be outputting a lot of damage. Without Sid, really good. With Sid, slightly better. So, and like I said, this unit is basically on par with an event unit, and better than some event units already. And then it's doing damage very close to what SF units can do at the Awaken. But of course, you gotta get it to A5 to make that damage really, really good. I mean, this is like a 600% damage jump, but even at the regular level, 2,600% damage on a single enemy is really good. Either way, This is an insane unit. And I would say, like, if you ever get this unit off the regular character pool, definitely put your energy and put your time into this unit. This unit has phenomenal abilities, and probably I'm probably gonna say here that this is the best, one of the best yellow units in the regular character pool. Like, it just pretty much outclasses any other yellow unit that I can pretty much think of. It's that good. It's literally that good. So the next question would be, well, should I pull Victoria Merciless Blade? Now, as good as this character is, let me tell you why I'm going to say no. Is because this character we're going to see in the regular character pool. Now, it's such a pain because I know people really want to get this unit, especially after I've been hyping up her abilities. Like, don't get me wrong. This is a very, very good unit. But the fact that we might see her in the regular character pool means that you might have a chance with tickets to get this unit. Now, you can get tickets on this, so she'll be appearing on this regular summon banner, and usually with every event you get a ×10 multi for pulling. Now, it could be a very, very low chance to get this specific unit, but like I said, after this banner leaves, there's gonna be chances to get her still. So I would say save your gems, especially if you are a free-to-play unit. You could or if you're a free-to-play player, it'd probably be best just to save your gems on this one, and then hope that you get this unit in the regular character pool down the line. But I always say, if you have the extra gems and you can pour money into the game and this and that, go ahead. I mean, this unit is really good as a regular character pool unit. And that's all I have to say to that. Vigo, signing off.